All right, hello. This is to help you create equations, and so we already did that. Now we're going to say, how do you find your slope when it's a little bit more difficult? And so, again, in the other video, homework help video, we kind of referenced this with marbles, but here we're just going to stick to the math. And so, what do? Is we want to see, well, how much did we change in our y values, and how much did we change in our x values? And so, how we find out how much we changed is we subtract. And so we subtract our y's, and so in this case, 26 minus 14, and we get 12. And then we subtract our x's. 4 minus 0 is 4. So for 4 x's, this is x's, and we changed how many y's? We changed 12 y's. We want to know how many we changed for 1x, and so we divide by x. And so the first thing is you subtract. The second thing is you divide by x. So it's 12 divided by 4. In this case, we get 3. Now, you can check this, right, and go back in here and check, well, does 3 work? All right, so we go back 4, and this is increase 3, so we add 3, 20, 23, 26, and sure enough, this 3 works. And now we can go back to our equation. And so this is what you have to go back in the previous video if you have trouble with that, is y equals, you multiply by the slope. In this case, our y-intercept is that's when it starts at 0. It's a positive 14, so this is positive 14. Then, going into another one, right? So this is that another example. Again, we subtract our x's. I'm sorry, this is our x's right here. So we subtract our x's, subtract our y's. So 8 minus 3 is 5. That's our x's. 29 minus 4. In this case, this is 25. Okay, then we divide. So that's our first step, subtract, and then we divide by the x change. So we have 25 for 5 x's. We want to know for 1, so we take 25 divided by 5, and we get 5 in this case. So our rate of change is 5. Now, what we don't have here is the start value. Okay, so what we have to do is say this y equals 5 times x. And what I usually kind of just encourage people to do is one way to find it, and we'll talk about this actually in the next video, how do you find your y-intercept, is we put our table back in, right? So we start at 0, we don't know what that is. And actually, let me write it a little bit further to the right. So 0, we don't know what that is. We know 1, 2, 3. So we do know what 3 is. Okay, and we actually know 4. And so our slope is, so here we're starting at 4, we add 5, right? So 5, we add another 5, which is 14. Well, how do we go backwards? Is we go the opposite way. So we subtract 5. So we subtract 5 and subtract 5. So our start value is this negative 11. And so in this case, our equation is y equals 5x minus 11. Now, hopefully you understand how to find the slope in this case, because that was what we were focusing on. In the next video, actually, will help you more on how do you find the y-intercept. Okay, so let's hit another one of these examples in our packet here to help us. So let's just actually go right down to the next one here on these examples here. So we changed 20 to 5, and so 20 to 5, we subtract 20 minus 5 is 15. Then we take 2 and we take 7. We subtract. 7 minus 2 is also 5. Now we want to know how much we changed for 1, and so the next step is we take our change in y divided by our change in x. And so in this case, 15 divided by 5 is 3. 3 is our slope. Now just to check, we can go back here. Now, we also notice, is this increasing or decreasing? So you have to know if you're adding 3 or subtracting 3. And so in this case, we see that 20 to 5, we're getting smaller. We actually have to subtract by 3 and see if this works. And sure enough, right, we subtract by 3, we see it works. Now we know our slope. So we know our slope. We don't know what our y-intercept is. So our slope is 3, right? We put it right down here. Well, we have to keep going our pattern till we find out 0. So we take 23, 26, and so here is our start value. So what is our equation? Y equals, now this is going down 3, so it's negative 3x. We multiply by a negative, and then our start value is that plus 26. Okay, and we can even check. So when we have 7, negative 3, so negative 3 times 7, and that is negative 21. And when we add 26 to it, sure enough, negative 21 plus 26 is positive 5. And so sure enough, all right, this does work. Okay, so we see that we're subtracting more and more 3's. So that subtract may get a little bit confusing of why you're still multiplying, but you're still multiplying, you're just multiplying a negative value because you're getting smaller. You're getting more and more negative 3's, which is the same thing as subtracting by 3. Okay, adding a negative 3 is the same thing as subtracting a 3. So that's why we still use multiplication. Okay, so hopefully this helps you on this pattern, and on the back there's even more problems that you can attempt. Thank you. And again, if you have problems with this, please watch the videos multiple times. And let me just erase this and stop.